Okay, to verify my registration, I have to see if I am a candidate in the Midnight Block Producer Committee. And that candidacy is basically your public keys in the Midnight Block Producer Committee list. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a moment. So here I'm in the Midnight Show. And I don't know my partner chain public keys by heart, but remember when we created partner chain keys, we had this partner chains public key.json file. I am just going to return the contents of that. So I have this on hand so I could reference these. And I just registered, so I'm going to immediately identify the current Cardano epoch, which is epoch 981. I'm just simply using a Cardano Preview Testnet Explorer. It says epoch 981. There's other ways that you can determine the epoch. So if I go in the Midnight Block Producer documentation, there's a registration process, which we've done. And it goes to validating the registration, which we can query the epoch of the Midnight chain and the Cardano chain. Okay. And you can copy these curl commands and run them, but I'm actually going to use an API collection just because it's easier to show you. So here I'm going to run the sidechain get status API method against the public API endpoint for the Midnight testnet. And if I run that get status, it's going to return the Midnight epoch and the Cardano epoch. And in this case, this is Midnight testnet. So this is the epoch for the preview testnet. So it's 981. Now, when you register, and this was mentioned earlier in the video series here, you're eligible for Midnight block production plus 2 epochs since you registered. So in this case, it's epoch 981 plus 2 is 983. So I need to query the Midnight Block Producer Committee list at epoch 983. To do that, there's this get Ariadne params, get Ariadne params API method. And for parameters, I'm going to provide epoch 983. I'm going to query that. And that's going to return a very large list. And I just want to give a shout out to all the Midnight block producers out there and SPOs that are helping secure the testnet here. However, you could search for your public keys here by scrolling through, or what's even more convenient is I'm simply going to go back to my VS Code here, copy my public key, and I'm going to just do control find. And now I see that my candidate is right here. All right. So this is the candidate I just registered. You can see the keys match the keys that I have, and it shows me the epoch that I registered in. And you want to make sure is valid equals true. Mine says is valid is false because the SPO I'm using is actually not properly registered, but I'm just using it for demonstration purposes. But this should say it is valid is true. And that is how you can verify that you are a Midnight block producer candidate. For example, you can see other candidates here. This is what you're going to be looking for is the is valid equals true here. Okay. All right. You're now a Midnight block producer candidate. So the next step is to run the Midnight node in validator mode.